One of the most poignant parts of your book, Matthew, was I learned staring people in the face, there's nothing you can say. The only thing I can give someone in that moment is my presence, is this notion that you're not alone. You tell a beautiful story about suddenly people start recognizing you, and this idea of Hollywood, it happened, right? It happened. The bomb goes off, and it's as beautiful and it's a blessing as we can imagine, and it's got a dark side to it. And you took off over to a place I've been to, off in Chama, New Mexico, and you met Brother Christian, and this idea of being known and being heard basically through silence. Tell me about that experience.
So I'd just gotten famous. All of a sudden, the world was a mirror. Over one weekend, it was when The Time to Kill came out. Over one weekend, my life changed. All of a sudden, I wasn't meeting strangers anymore. Everyone had a biography on me. Oh, I'm sorry, Matthew, about Miss Hudd. And I'm in my mind going, number one, how'd you know I was Matthew? Number two, how'd you know I had a dog? Number three, how'd you know her name was Miss Hudd? Number four, how'd you know she had cancer?
Whoa, that's a lot, man. Yeah.
Like you're just trespassing on my life. And so I was getting a lot of adulation as well. I was getting invited to do almost any script I wanted, whereas just 2 days before Time to Kill came out, I would have done any of those scripts for nothing. Right. And now they're just all of them. Right. And I'm like, I need to have some discernment right now to like choose what I want to do. When 2 days ago, I would have done any of these. And now you're telling me I can do all of them. I got to get out and go hear myself think, see what's going on. I mean, my feet are off the ground a little bit. So I went away out there to on that Cham River at that monastery. And I just need someone to talk to, shake some monkeys off my back. The world wasn't making sense. And I met this man, Brother Christian, and we went for a walk, about 4-hour walk. And he listened, hands behind back. We walked through that desert for 4 hours, and I talked the entire time. Guilty thoughts, guilty actions, what is right, what's making sense, this, that, and the other. I'm confused, blah, 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 blah. We finally come back around to the chapel 4 hours later. I mean, my face is soaking wet, dried tears with dust in them and everything else. And we sit down and I finish off my purge, my confession, basically. And he hadn't said one word in 4 hours. Finally, I finish. And I'm looking at the ground and I'm awaiting this dun-dun-dun-dun.
Yes.
Awaiting, yes, you are in trouble, son. And here's what you got to do. Nothing. Silence. 15 seconds go by. I finally look up at him. And he's just staring at me. And he looks me in the eye, holds my eye line for about 3 seconds. And he says, me too. Oh, I crumbled, man. I was like, sometimes you don't need advice. Sometimes you just need to be let know, hey, man, it's the human condition, man. We're all in it. And he let me know by saying that while my problems were specific to me, they weren't original. They weren't. I didn't have complete ownership of those. I didn't have that ownership of that human condition. Everyone feels different versions of that. So he spread it out and let me know it's a human. It's part of living, man. Part of being a human. Well, and it allowed me to forgive myself in certain places and gave me the courage to change certain things that I need to change.
That theme of we're in it together just weaves its way through your book, and I'm of the belief that that's the most compassionate, needed sentiment across humanity. In my own home, here at my office, everywhere, in my kids' schools, is this notion that we're all in this together. And whether it's your old man saying, "Don't go halfway. If you're gonna go," right? Yeah. And your mom saying, "I love you and you're better than that," and your guy saying, "Don't let him smell fear, and then I'll introduce you." And then that monk in a monastery looking you in the eye and saying, "Hey, man, me too." And you have now given your readership a gift by saying, "Hey, I know every single one of you is stuck, going too fast, going too slow, wherever you may be. Me too." And I want to tell you, man, I'm grateful for you. Appreciate your time. Kelly asked me to read a book, Christmas story. And so I brought what is one of my house's favorite Christmas books by Mike Reese and by
my wife is a children's literature person, but I share this with her. David Ketro, one of our favorite illustrators. The book is called Merry Unchristmas. It's about a family who has Christmas every day of the year, and it's such a burden, and they get one day off a year. I love this book, and I was going to read it, but then funruiner.com/net.org here, and I won't name their name, Chris, said that we have to have copyright to everything, so we can't read the book. So go buy it. I want to support Mike. I have no relationship to this dude, but I think this book's fantastic. And the illustrations are incredible by David. So we are going to the public domain. And we're going to read with some commentary a few people's favorite Christmas story. 'Twas the night before Christmas. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care and tape, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there, not eating the grapes. I don't know, it's not bad rhyming. The children were all snug in their beds, nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums and cigarettes, depending on what kind of kid you're raising, danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief. Mama, is that how you all you sleep in? Is it kerchief? In my cap, man, this story got a little bit. Had settled down for a long winter's nap. They've been drinking. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter. Was it somebody doing drugs and another Mad Hatter? No. I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Evidently he had time to get dressed because he was previously only wearing a cap. Away to the window, I flew like a flash. I put on some clothes so no one would see tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of the midday to objects below. Sounds like a freshman in college trying to write a research paper. Like, there's so much easier ways to say this. When what to my wondering eye should appear? Drugs? No! But a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. Had I done too much shrooms? I asked myself. Slick. With a little old driver so lively and quick? No! I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen. On Comet, on Cupid, on Donder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. At which point all the reindeer look at each other and like, what the crap's he talking about? Like, what? Why is he just yelling our names and telling us to go to the porches and walls? What is happening? But they're just deer. They just do what they're told, you know. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly. Now we're getting into weather issue. This whole thing is just getting off the rails. When they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. For those of you who run into obstacle mounts in the sky, you've done far too much drugs that day. It's time to stop. It's time to stop. Go to bed. Reset. So up to the housetop, the coursers they flew with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof, one of the reindeer had taken it. Just kidding. The prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. And he was quite round. And he made a sound, like a basset hound with a frown. He was dressed all in fur. Dude, that's what I'm talking about. What's up, ladies? From his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. I think that's because he was rolling a little 20-twin, but that's just me. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. Here's just a random bunch of pictures and the dog wagging his tail. Way to go. Here, Fido. Psst, terrible guard dog. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. Can we just stop? This whole story is madness. It's just madness. Look at this photo. This guy is just rolled up on somebody's recliner with feet out, just chilling, arms back. He's doped up the dog, kicked his feet off. He's just chilling. And I guess he lit the fire back. That makes sense. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held in his teeth. He's smoking inside. Great neighbor. Very cool. And the smoke had encircled his head like a wreath. It's puff, puff, give. He had a broad face and a round little belly that shook like, when he laughed, like a bowl full of jelly. Now, this book's just getting mean. This is mean. He needs to call into the show. People are talking bad about him. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. Can you imagine somebody breaking into your house and then you see them and you're not scared, you just laugh at their physical appearance? I think the author of this book should call the show because he needs an attitude adjustment. He's rude. He's mean. He's mean. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head. I worried to myself, am I soon to be dead? Soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all of the stockings, then turned with a jerk. Maybe it's meth and not smoking. And laying his finger up inside of his nose, aside of his nose, and giving a nod up the chimney, he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team, gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. And let's be honest, we all know how the down of a thistle flies. This is why, this right here. Why are our kids so anxious? Because of this. But I heard him exclaim as he drove out of sight, I got all your crap. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night. Merry Christmas to you all, everybody. I love you. Brought to you by Hallow, the world's #1 prayer app. In a culture obsessed with categorizing, labeling, and telling people what they can or can't do based on some sort of status, right? They have a snapshot of diagnostics. They experienced some trauma growing up. They've been through some hard challenges. Or maybe it's that nowadays it's fun to even beat up those who have been quote unquote successful, right? Like you've got a high net worth, so you have no problems. Quit whining about anything, right? Your whole...
And you don't care about anybody.
No, you don't care about anybody. You hate people just because you have money. Your whole career has been tell me if I'm wrong, is almost the opposite of much of the what I call the mental health cultural zeitgeist, which is there's something wrong with you. We're going to pat you on the head, go and sit in the corner, and we'll advocate for you. You've been teaching people how to advocate and empower themselves forever. So how do you teach somebody who's trying to build a small family, an entrepreneur just starting out? I've got elderly parents now who are beginning to be reflective over their life. Like, did we have any value here? How do you teach somebody how to develop a path forward in spite of not just park it and call it because I've got some label attached to me?
I think the most important thing is to get rid of the labels because labels become the story. And once you have a story, you live the narrative, right? So the most powerful force that can change anybody's life is the change of identity. What is identity? We all have a way of defining ourselves. And the problem is we probably defined it a long time ago. If someone says, oh, I can't do that, I'm not one of those. What they're really saying is that doesn't match my identity. But when did you come up with your definition of yourself? And the power of identity is so powerful. Like if you, for example, let's say, have a big goal and you start to go for it. In the last minute, you get fearful and you put it off. You procrastinate. And then you go for it again. And in the last minute, you get fearful and procrastinate. You do that 4 or 5 times. After a while, you don't want to feel bad about yourself, so you develop an identity. I'm a procrastinator. And now, by the way, you won't you won't be disappointed. You'll do it on a regular basis. You won't achieve your dreams, but you'll be comfortable. You follow me?
Absolutely.
Or another example might be, because of your background, John, as a doc, is like, okay, a person is clinically depressed. Do you think a clinically depressed person ever has happy moments? What would you say? Yes or no?
Of course they do.
Of course they do. But if you catch them one, they go, I'm not really happy. It just looked like I was happy.
Right.
Because our need to stay consistent with our definition is so high. When someone's having an identity crisis, right? Somebody says they're going through that. They're questioning everything. They don't know who they are, what they're about, what they really want. So we come up with a definition of ourselves and it starts to control who we are. If you go to somebody that's used to smoke cigarettes and they don't smoke anymore, and they haven't smoked in 10 years, and you walk up and would you walk up and say, would you like a cigarette? Or you're not going to say, what brand is it? They're going to say, oh, I'm not one of those. I'm not a smoker. I'm not one of those. That's not my identity. That's how powerful identity is. It works on both sides, though. Let's say, metaphorically, you set a thermostat at 68 degrees. That's the temperature we want. That's your comfort zone, not your goals, not your absolute ideals, but what you're used to. So imagine 68 degrees as a metaphor for how much money you're comfortable with having. You want more, but that's what you're used to. Or 68 degrees is how much intimacy, how close you are to people, or your connection with God. It's a measure. Not what you want, it's what you're used to. Well, if all of a sudden things aren't as good as they should be, the 68 degrees drops down to 60. I'm sure you've experienced this in your life. I know I have in mine. Most people have. Suddenly something happens. Your brain goes, hey, you're supposed to be up here. You're down here. And you get this push. The heaters kick on to bring the temperature up again. You feel this push to get yourself back to where you want to be. Most people listening have had that experience, but they don't realize it happens on the other side too. If you get momentum, you start to do some great things. I don't know if you've ever done this, John, in your life, and you start doing really well, like better than you expect. And you go from 68, metaphorically, to 75, to 78, to 80. You get about 90 degrees, and all of a sudden your brain goes, hey, what the hell are you doing up here? You're a 68 degreer. And then all of a sudden the heaters stop. You lose your drive. And if that's not, the air conditioners come on, you start to self-sabotage to get back to where you think you need to be. So my life has really been about showing people lasting change only happens when there's an identity change. When it's no longer a fight in you to try to do something. It's like, this is who I am. So there's two types of motivations, I'm sure you know, push and pull. Push is I'm trying to make it happen. I got a lot of willpower, and obviously you do too, John, but there's only so much willpower. Willpower will never last long term. What lasts is pull. Something that you want more than who you are, something that you care about more than yourself. That's what everyone needs. If you can find something like that you're going for, then your identity will expand. I mean, I'll tell you how I changed my identity, one version of it. When I had 4 different fathers growing up. My mom was an interesting character. She's quite a handful. And all my fathers were broke, and we always had pain and no money for food sometimes. But I remember specifically, there was a Christmas time, she kicked out my 4th father, and I really loved him. And then she thought I was on his side, so at Christmas she kicked me out of the house. And she kept my 1960 Volkswagen and earned $40 a week as a janitor. And I was in high school, still traveling to this place in Pasadena about, if I was driving there about 40 minutes away each way and working all night in the middle of the night, finishing at 2 a.m, coming back, sleeping on 5 hours sleep and getting up and going to school. Well, one day I finished cleaning. Oh, she keeps my car. So now I'm taking buses. So now it's not a 45-minute process. It's 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours each way. But I get to get paid for results. If I could do 2 banks and I did a great job, it wasn't by the hour, so I could make enough money to support myself and come home. I come out to catch the bus at 2 a.m, no bus. 2:15, no bus. 2:30, no bus. Around 2:35 or somewhere in that range, a car pulls up, rolls his window down, and goes, hey, buddy, didn't you see there's a bus strike? There's no buses. And he drives off, and I'm like, I have no one to call. I don't have any way to do this, and I'm 17 miles from home. And I'm like, that's the straightest arrow to get home. What the hell am I going to do? And I literally, John, true story, ran. I never run 3 miles. I ran 16 miles. Last mile I walked, but 16 straight miles. And how did I do it? I literally conditioned my brain, and that day changed my identity. it started with anger, to be honest with you. I'll show her, but you don't go very long on anger.
Right.
You run out of fuel really quick, right? So I read these books like The Magic of Believing by Claude M. Bristol, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by, Dr. Joseph. And so I read these books, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to condition my mind, not with affirmations, I'm happy, but where I'm going to engage my body, my focus, my language over and over with such repetition. I'm going to condition my mind with every step I take. So I started doing every day, and every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. Every day and every way I'm getting stronger. And I'll be yelling it. I do that for like 5 minutes. And then I go every day, healthy and healthy, happier and happier. I did that all the way for 16 miles. And it was like 2 hours plus. I had shin sprints, of course. I wasn't prepared for this or anything else. But I found a part of myself that I use to this day. I found that part of myself that will not give up. That's where I shape my identity that day. And I've used that energy anytime I faced a challenge ever since. And so I think people can train themselves to discover who they really are. But the best way to do that is do something you don't think is consistent with your identity. In other words, a belief is a poor substitute for an experience. You can tell me what China's like in your belief system, but if I take you to China, you're going to have an experience. Experience is more powerful. So I try to give people experiences in my events that violate their limitations. That's why I've done skydiving and firewalking and all that stuff too, is because when you do something you thought was difficult or impossible, your brain goes, well, what else can I do that I thought was so impossible? It's so easy. And I'm one of those now. I'm a person who does these things. That shift is the most important shift for anyone to go to the next level of their life.
Download the Hallow app today and get 3 free months at hallow.com/Delony.
Hey, let's go to Tony in Rochester, New York. What's up, Tony?
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
I don't want to stereotype, but you realize Tony's the most New York name possible. That's incredible.
Thank you.
I needed a Tony from New York today. I'm glad you called. What's up, brother? How can I help?
I own a construction company, and I'm having trouble just like disconnecting from work and being me. And I really don't remember who I was prior to this.
Oh man, tell me about that. Is it blown up? Is it just gone bananas?
Yeah, I do very well. There's 6 of us total, so I'm just always working. And right now we're just months and months out, and it's just all I do is think about work, and like I never can kind of be present in the moment. And it's struggling with like marriage. I have a toddler; she's almost 2. So it's just hard to like. I remember when I worked for someone else, I just came home and I lived my life, but now my life is I'm kind of like defined by my business. Every time I see people, it's how's work going, and I say the same thing every time, busy, and I don't know where I am anymore, really.
So, man, you're one of the most self-aware men I've ever talked to. Like, it usually takes 15 counseling sessions to get to that, what you just said. That's incredible. Tell me about
I'm in counseling, so.
Oh, okay. Maybe I've been in a bunch. Oh, there you go. So, tell me about your wife. How long you been married? Tell me about her.
We've been married for 4 years. We've been together for, I believe, 9 years now.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I love her a lot, and she told me the other day that all kind of like our issues and like I've changed since I've started a business. And
she's right?
Probably.
Or yeah, she's right.
Yeah,
she's right. So, how much you make in a year? What's your take home going to be?
A lot, over 100, maybe close to 2.
Okay. What about last year?
I think it was like 150.
Okay. What about the year before?
Probably under 100.
Okay. What's enough? What's the goal line here?
I don't know.
You got a picture in your head. What's the goal line?
Well, I don't know if I want to go bigger, if I just want to stay where I am. Like I was thinking about this the other day, you open up a restaurant. Okay, like I run a restaurant, and this is where I'm going to be. Either I'm going to franchise or not going to franchise, like expand. But with me, I can add a crew, take away a crew. Do I want to go big or not? There's just so many possibilities. Like what kind of work do I want to do? What field do I want to be in? I don't truly know. At first, I wanted to just go big. And when I went big, I got up to like 10 guys. I was like, well, this is a lot of work.
It's a lot. Yeah. And if you're really good at construction and you're really good at bidding and you're good at managing projects, that's a whole different skill set than trying to navigate 10 crew members and their crazy lives. And are they going to show up and they're late and their flat tires and their marriage drama and all that? So you're trying to figure out, your business blew up. You're clearly good at what you do. Clearly. I mean, you're good at it. You're talented at it. And that's awesome. Have you asked the question, what kind of dad do I want to be? What kind of husband do I want to be? And then you let those answers inform your business.
I don't think I've asked myself that specifically, but I've thought of that.
I don't want to use words. Put a picture in my head of the dad you want to be.
I want to be the dad that I didn't have, someone who's there and present. And
what does that mean? What does that mean? There and present. Those are out of a Hallmark card. There and present. Paint me a picture of it.
Just involved with like an actual picture.
An actual picture. I'm going to be the guy who picks my son or daughter up from soccer practice. Mom's going to have to get her there because I'm at work, but I'm going to be the guy that picks him up. I'm going to be the guy that has a little bit too short of shorts on Saturday morning. It's freezing cold, but I'm out there watching the soccer game, cheering like mad, and I don't even know what's happening. Like, paint me a picture.
Yeah, I want to be there for like every big moment of her life, just killing it, really.
So listen.
If she's going to school or events or anything, just being there and spending time with her and growing with her.
So here's what I want you to do, and I want you to do this with your wife, because it's going to be hard. Especially, your dad sucked?
Yeah, he kind of gave up on us, and my mom died when I was like 3.
Okay, so here's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with the right heart. Not even the right heart, an incredible heart, Tony. But you don't have a picture of what this looks like. And when you don't have a picture of what this looks like, it's a lot of platitudes. And here's what those platitudes become: never enough. You will miss soccer games, and you will miss a play every once in a while because you're running a business and you're working your butt off and you're providing for your family. It's going to happen. And so when you have expectations like, I just want to be there for her for every major moment, that's a noble idea, but it's going to set you up to always feel like a failure because you can't be there for everyone. My dad was an amazing guy. And every major dance that I can remember, one of my neighborhood dads had to tie my tie because my dad was out doing awesome stuff. Do I regret it? Do I hate him? No, man, he was working hard. And I never for 1 second doubted they loved me. And I got to make some great relationships with some of the neighborhood dads. I just grew up in that kind of neighborhood that I was getting parented by 20 different parents growing up. But it's still to this day, like, the joke is, man, Mike Stewart tied my tie. Randy Fox tied my ties before major dances and stuff. Because my dad was out sick. Does that make sense? So here's the thing. Yeah. I want you to speak very specifically. And this is what it might sound like. I want to be a dad who has the entire soccer schedule, and I'm going to make 5 out of the 7 games. And if they're on Saturdays, I'm never going to miss them, ever. I'm going to pay somebody to be on call for those Saturday mornings, and it may cost me $1,000 because there may be a pipe that burst on one of the construction zones that we're working on, but he's going to go fix it because I'm not going to miss that soccer game. And then the other side of it is there's going to be some games I miss, and I'm going to give myself grace on those because my daughter knows I love him. Knows I love her. I'm going to read a book every night of the week to my daughter. Every single day I will read a book. I will hug my daughter for 30 seconds every day. So what I'm saying is I want you to begin to paint pictures, not use words. Because you, my brother, are changing family trees. You are changing legacy. I'll even dare to say your road is harder than mine because I had a picture of what an awesome dad looks like. You don't. So you are painting something new. Does that make sense? Yeah,
because like right now I just kind of, all I know is like to provide, and I'm trying to.
That's right.
Provide it well.
And here's what's going to happen. That goalpost is always going to move on you.
It will never not move on you because there's always going to be a nicer private school they could go to. Or you could get them a BMW instead of a crappy Corolla right? You know what I mean? Like that goalpost will always move until you sit down with your wife. And then I want you to sit down and say, this kind of husband I'm going to be. And this is what this is going to look like on a day-to-day basis. So in my house, Tony, I asked, and this is 25 years of doing it wrong. I asked my wife, we've been dating 25 years. We've been married 19. How can I help today? What does your picture of today look like? What do you need from me this week? And that's not romantic. It's not sexy, but it's awesome. Does that make sense? And then I backfill my profession from there. I back work, it comes after I decide what kind of husband I'm going to be. Now, I'm about to hit the road in the next few months. I'm going to be gone a lot. And so we've sat down and have calendar meetings every week. We have set some dates on the calendar that when we're going to go out. We've got some dates when we're going to go have a weekend together when I'm home for a weekend, whatever. I've had to put some hunting trips, some special trips on the calendar with me and my son so we don't lose that, and me and my daughter. But so I've had to be hyper intentional about making sure those pictures are going to be that way. And I know it come December, I'm going to be exhausted. I know I am. And that's all right, man. But we're being intentional and we're being very clear about what this is going to look like, what success will look like, and what failure will look like. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're saying basically, if I draw a picture of where I want my family life to be and where I want to be as a husband and a father, and also where I want my business to be, it will help me. Those things, I won't focus so much on the business, and I'll focus more on what comes first. And rather than.
It will, but it's going to let you, when you are in the business, you're going to be all in. So when I'm at work, I'm not worried like, do I need to come get my son today? I don't have to worry about that. I know exactly where I need to be after work. And so when I'm here at work, I am 1,000% in. Growing this thing, making it big, taking speaking engagements. I'm going to miss a lot of stuff this fall. I know I am. And I've already put some stuff on the calendar, not to make up, because I don't have to make things up, but just so I can continue to be the husband and dad that I said I wanted to be. And you have that exact heart, if not more. The challenge you have is you've got a bunch of energy going 5,000 different directions. And so what I want you to do is to sit down and be hyper intentional about, I want to be this kind of dad. I want to be this kind of husband. I want to let those inform. I want to be this kind of leader. I want to have this kind of construction. Dude, brother, you could have the biggest construction company in the state of New York. And you're going to have 3 or 4 incredible senior associate vice presidents who run things because you're going to go home and get that game. You're going to take your kids to Disneyland. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just got to figure out what I want to get to and where I want to be.
That's right. But listen to me. The key here is don't use words. Use pictures. Because you're going to say things like, I want to be a super present husband. And you're going to look at your wife and you're going to have a tearful moment. You're going to say, I'm going to be the dad that is always here. I'm going to be the husband that always shows up. And she's going to say, oh, it's so great. And show up for her is going to mean you're there at 4:30 every day. And show up for you means 2 or 3 days a week, I'm not home till 8 o'clock because I'm leaving the site. But a couple of days a week, I'm at home and we're gonna watch a TV show together. And so what a picture gets you is gets everybody on the same page. So when you say, I'm gonna be that kind of dad, here's exactly what that will look like. I'm gonna make most of the games. Or this particular, hey honey, we got a new building. It's a multi-million-dollar project. I'm gonna miss a lot of games this year. And that means in the mornings, I'm gonna do long hugs. I'm gonna do bedtime when I can. I'm gonna do weekend duty. Does that make sense? See what I'm saying there? We're painting pictures of what this stuff's going to look like. And that way you're on the same page with your daughter and any other kids to come. You're on the same page with your spouse. And most importantly, you're on the same page with you. Because now you're not just running this endless race of just trying to be somebody that your dad wasn't, trying to be that parent that when your mom passed away. No, I got a clear picture and I'm running towards that. And then you can hit that, man. And then when you're at work, oh my gosh, you're going to crush work because you're going to be all in. I want to be this kind of leader. I want to be this kind of boss. I want to be this kind of, when my company takes a job, we're going to have this kind of reputation because I'm going to lean into that. And then when I'm at home, you can talk to me tomorrow, guys, because I love you guys, but I love my wife and my little girl more. I'm going to have to shake that off. Call Tom. He's on call. Bye, guys. You're going to find out every ship in your harbor is going to rise when you say, this is me being intentional. What a stud, Tony. You've made my day better, brother. I'm so grateful for the call. And to all the dads out there who feel like they're running 500 different directions, either I just lost the job that mattered to me or my job exploded underneath me. I don't know what to do. And I feel like I'm not being the husband. I'm not being the wife. I'm not being the dad. But start with pictures. Start with, this is what it's going to look like when it's enough. This is what it's going to look like when I can breathe. This is what it's going to look like today when today is done. And then I can go home and put my feet up. It's going to be good. And go tell your wife, today Tony changes. Today Tony from New York changes. And we're going to make new pictures together. It's going to be awesome. Thank you so much for your call, brother. So I ran across a article this week. I think that my good friend Preston sent it to me, and it is remarkable. Not surprising at all, and I wanted to pass it along to you. We'll link to it in the show notes. It's an article from The Atlantic written by Laura Aknin, Jamil Zaki, and Elizabeth Dunn. I'm confident that I just misspelled those names. They are researchers at various universities, Stanford, Simon Fraser, others. Listen. All right, here's the deal. I'm going to start giving Kelly $5 every time I say the word listen, because I just said it again. $5.
I'm all for that.
Effective immediately. Just come in over the thing and let us all know.
Perfect.
All right. Not you, Ben. Just kidding. I'll pay
Can
you
you give me $5 too?
Nick, everybody in the booth. $5 for you, $5 for you, everybody.
Thanks,
Sweet.
Oprah.
Here's the... All right. The name of the article is, The Pandemic Did Not Affect Mental Health in the Way You Think. So, like me, I did it. Every mental health professional I knew, when the pandemic set off, we all just looked at the alleged death toll, the fear-mongering, the true and real fear, the lockdown, the isolation, the economic disaster, the coming economic disaster, the phrase, the looming or the coming, fill in the blank, right? Whatever it was. And early on, we saw devastating anxiety numbers, depression numbers, financial numbers. It was, distress was just climbing through the roof. These researchers say it climbed dramatically, right? All over the world. And I'm going to read here. But as spring turned to summer, something remarkable happened. Average levels of depression, this is in 2020, and distress began to fall. Some data sets even suggested that overall psychological distress returned to pre-pandemic levels by early summer 2020. Looking at the world as a whole, we saw no trace of a decline in life satisfaction. People in 2020 rated their lives at a 5.75 on average, identical to the average in previous years. So what does this mean? It's a story as old as time, and it's based in neuroscience, which is our brains have a vested interest in looking for the worst case scenario and then trying to reverse engineer that so that we don't die. Our brains have a vested interest in saying, yeah, but this might happen, and so we need to be careful about the might, the could be, the maybes. And that is why we can't stop scrolling. That's why we can't stop watching news headlines that have disaster or looming or crisis in the titles. That's why we can't stop watching the stock market tick up and down and down and up and up and down and down and up and up and down. The last time I saw the market a few weeks ago, it was it's up some insane number. But it talked about, it's down 100 points because of... It was 100 points down that day after being 10,000 points up over the last few years. I mean, it's just madness, right? But our brains are so hardwired to look for the next hole in the ground, the next thing that might jump out behind a tree and eat us. But the tale as old as time is, we are incredibly resilient. We can overcome, adapt to, solve for so many things.
And as the authors write, the pandemic has been a test of the global psychological immune system, which appears more robust than we ever could have guessed. When familiar sources of enjoyment evaporated in the spring of 2020, people got creative. They participated in drive-by birthday parties, mutually assisted groups, virtual cocktail evenings with old friends, and nightly cheers for healthcare workers. Some people got really good at baking. Many found a way to reweave their social tapestry. Indeed, across multiple large data sets, levels of loneliness showed only a modest increase, with 13.8% of adults in the U.S. compared with 11% in spring 2018. People are incredible. Now, here's the thing. There was deep, disastrous, real pain. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people have died of COVID alone in the United States. Conspiracy theories aside, lots and lots and lots of people have suffered loss and death, plus car wrecks, plus lost jobs, plus terrifying financial conditions, all of it. But here's what the author's going to write. The astonishing resilience that most people have exhibited in the face of the sudden changes brought on by the pandemic hold its own lessons. We learned that people can handle temporary changes to their lifestyle, such as working from home, giving up travel, or even going into isolation, better than some policymakers seemed to assume. And here's why this is super, super important. We've got big-time challenges on the horizon. Big-time challenges, whether they be financial, whether they be ecological, whether they be political, whether they be psychological, whether they be whatever. Here's what the authors write. Human beings are not passive victims of change, but active stewards of our own well-being. This knowledge should empower us to make the disruptive changes our societies may require, even as we support the individuals and communities that have been hit the hardest. What does that mean? That means that we as a society, as a group, as individuals are hardwired to be terrified of change. Terrified of it. So scared. And yet, after what has been one of the most difficult and challenging crises, I don't think it's over by a long shot. Most difficult crisis many of us have faced in our lifetimes collectively. Our brains are solving for it. Our relationships are solving for it. We are figuring out other ways. We are getting creative. We are getting frustrated. We are charting new paths. We are slowly recalibrating relationships. We are getting rid of stuff that we've been carrying around with us for a long time. We're deciding we are going to make changes in our lives. And our bodies are saying, cool, we're safe now. And so if you've got hard changes to make, whether like today's calls, whether it's Lorraine saying, I want to stop hurting people. I want to stop being so exhausted all the time. I want to stop being judge and jury. Or whether it's like Chris who wants to stop judging people who have less than him, or wants to stop feeling guilty about being successful in his new job, his new enterprise. Or it's you want to stop an addiction. You want to get control of your health, be good stewards of your mental health, learn how to have relationships and get connected, learn how to change your thoughts, learn how to start acting differently. You can. You can. This pandemic has been disastrous for many of us, millions and millions of worldwide, but it's also shown us a glimpse of light through the cracks. We are strong and we are resilient, especially when we figure things out together. So we'll link to that in the show notes if you want to read it. It's a really remarkable read. And again, just a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel for some of us.
So talk to me about this book, dude. It's awesome.
Thanks, man.
It's fantastic.
Thanks, dude.
I was hoping it was going to be terrible, and it's not. It's really good, man. It's frustratingly good.
That's funny.
Tell me about it. How did it come about?
It came about, I never thought, John, I'd ever write a book.
Of course.
Ever.
Yeah.
I just never, it was never on my bingo card. And when I was posting my content, the stuff on Instagram, I would just have these comments, if you need to write a book, please write a book. I go, well, I guess I need to write a book. So I Googled, how do you write a book?
Yeah.
I mean, so I've been through that whole process. And the team that's publishing it said, I think you really have something to say. And I said, well, okay, we'll figure it out. So what this book does is it distills really my framework for how I communicate.
Yeah.
And my prayer is that when they read this, they really don't need me anymore. Like there's there's the framework. The framework is that when you speak, when you need to say what you need to say, you're going to say it with control. You're going to say it with confidence. You're going to say it to connect. And those three really are your foundation for almost any conversation. Where you can start making your own Jefferson Fisher communication videos. And the whole premise is that you can change everything in your life by changing the next conversation. I know that it doesn't matter what I said in the last one. I can change everything with simply what I say next.
Yeah. So control, connect, and confidence.
Yeah.
You launch into this thing, and I don't want to give away too much. You launch into this book with when I turned the page, I started laughing. And I was like, well, there's 95% of my life.
Yeah.
And it is, don't try to win the argument. Don't try to win connection.
Right.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So the whole,
that's my whole life.
That's funny.
With my dog, I'm trying to win. With my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Help me, brother. Help me, dude.
Yeah. The whole premise of the book is to never win an argument. We have so many blogs and there's other books out there of how to win every argument. I just think it's snake oil. It's empty. It's not going to get you anywhere, because when you win, you lose a lot more. You lose their respect. You lose the relationship. Mm-hmm. What did you win? I mean, okay, you and I are in an argument. I send that zinger that's going to hurt and burn in your eyes, and you walk off, and I won. Great. Now what?
It's like the golf clap.
Exactly.
Like, congrats, bro.
Yeah. You got it.
Yeah,
what did you win? Congrats. You won their contempt. You won the awkward silence now as you pass each other down the hall. You still have to probably work with this person. You probably still have to live
You're married
with
to
this
them.
person. Exactly.
Right.
And all you've won now is to be first up to apologize.
Yeah,
That's what you've won. Congrats. Yeah. Just enjoy that trophy. And so the whole premise is to never win an argument, because you'll start to lose the relationship. And what you need to do is stop seeing arguments as something to win and as knots to unravel. When you can start, instead of pulling your way or my way, and starting to go, help me see the knot, begin to unravel them, meaning having something to learn rather than something to prove, your life is going to be a whole lot better.
That feels like it takes an astonishing amount of inner confidence.
Yeah.
To be able to exit a conversation.
Right.
When you know the person wasn't right. When you know the person, I remember the first time I call them mini depositions. It was student conduct matters, but their room is surrounded by attorneys, right? Right. And so I'm not technically getting deposed, but you're getting deposed.
You are.
And I remember it was a mutual colleague of ours, Rob, being like, "Hey, stop talking.
Yeah.
Stop." And it was like, and it was like, almost like be confident.
Right.
Like, just say what you need to say, be quiet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I realized my need to keep talking was because I wasn't super certain about what I was saying.
Right.
But when I think about that with my spouse, when I think about that with my kids, when I think about that with my kid's teacher, where do we get that inner confidence?
Yeah.
Because I think you have to have that to be able to say, I don't have to win this thing.
Yeah. That's what, and it's a logical question, because, and it's a natural, everybody's got this that's why rule two is say it with confidence.
Yeah.
Because what happens is the more words you give, the less you say. Like,
yes.
The longer it takes you to tell the truth, the more it sounds like a lie.
Yes.
You know, if you really know a topic, you don't have to explain a whole lot. So confidence is very quiet. Insecurities are very loud. Like, you've ever been at a meeting and it's the person who typically has the most to say, has to have you know what, I'd like to give my take, and they always have to give something in it, who knows the least about it.
Yes.
The least in touch with what's going on in that company or that culture. Whereas the leader is typically very quiet.
Yeah.
They know they don't have to say anything. Confident people know that they don't have to say anything if they don't want to. Insecure people have to say everything. They need to name drop. They need to make you know how smart I am, how many people I know, how many people have been on my show.
Right.
You know, it's the names that they'll just like to drop just so that you know. It's really that insecurity that's talking at the baseline.
I remember this is right when I was starting this new weird world that we're in.
It is weird.
And I saw an interview with Jocko.
Oh, nice.
And the interviewer was like, all right, so somebody steps to you and your wife on the streets in San Diego. Like, what do you do? And I remember him just quietly, well, I'd probably just grab her hand and walk across the street and get on that sidewalk. And I remember, I'm paraphrasing it, but he said, but what about, like, you got to defend her honor. And he said with a smile, if it takes me beating up a vagrant on the side of the street, like to show my wife I honor her, I have failed her in every way.
Oh, that's so
but
good.
it was like that. I remember going, oh, that's tough. That's tough.
That's confidence.
And then he went on to say, there's a handful of men on earth that can defeat me in hand. Right? Like, he's like, I can, but the flex is.
Right.
And I guess.
But so he knew he had that power, though.
And that gives you the power to walk away.
Yeah.
Are there situations where I'm trying to think of something outside of safety when I've got to dig my heels in? Is that ever a worthy move?
When you need to stand your ground?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but the whole thing of standing your ground, standing up for yourself, is asking the question, is this person worth getting out of your chair for?
So it's just limiting the number of hills you're going to die on.
You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I grew with my dad going, don't make that your Alamo. Is that going to be your Alamo?
Yeah.
Like, is this really?
Yeah.
Is this really? I mean, that would be his thing.
Huh.
I come to him with a problem. He'd go, okay, so? And I go, but you don't understand.
Yeah.
This is happening. This is happening. Go, so?
Yeah.
I mean, and eventually water me down to where you're at. I don't know why I'm making a
Mad
big
about
deal
the-
about it.
yeah.
Yeah. And so it's a mindset of the confidence of knowing I don't have to act. I don't have to move. It's typically the most powerful people say very little. It's the little dog that yips the most.
Yeah. Just runs and runs and runs.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. Here's something else I took away from this book that was pretty heavy.
Thanks for reading it, by the way.
No, man, it's
Thanks,
outstanding. It's frustratingly good because I can't write that good. I want to talk about, it's kind of I'm going to bridge the gap between that question and the next one.
Okay.
How do we try not to win everything in a world that's always competing with us? Because I think the temptation is just, I'm going to take my ball and go home.
Yeah.
How do I stay present at a table? And you do this for a living. How do you stay present at a table, unhooked from every other emotionally reactive person?
You have to add a lot of silence. So when you can add distance between what somebody has said and how you respond, every time it gives you a lot more control, and especially the perception of control. So let's say you and I are having it out, and all of a sudden you just throw the worst insult ever. And I don't say anything back.
It's the worst, man. It's the worst.
I mean, like,
it's like hitting somebody and they just look at you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Will Smith and Chris Rock. He hits him and he just looked at him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's bad.
It
looks bad.
Right? It still looks bad.
It does, but it will reverberate.
Forever.
Right?
Yeah. And so when somebody walks himself out on a plank and you just let them hang there, I mean, that's where you really have your sense of your power move of using silence, because they know that they walked off on that ledge. So when you say unplug, it's really the concept of knowing the power of the pause, knowing that I don't have to say anything. Yeah, you can take your ball and go home, but it's more of the basis of I just don't have to move because I'm confident in what I know and what I have to say. Same thing we were talking about gaslighters.
Yeah.
That idea of when you're confident, I see things differently. Now, you can disagree with me. That's fine. It's okay to disagree. And I mean, now you're cool.
Yeah.
Now you're cool hand Luke. Otherwise, when you're having to go, no, that's not true. And you're bouncing every which way. You're getting heightened. You're yelling. Now you're saying, I'm grasping for control. One with the pause says, no, I'm in control. Much different feeling, much different vibe.
So I guess the next evolution of that question is, talk to me about defensiveness.
Yeah.
And I guess what that communicates.
Right. Funny thing about of defensiveness is it becomes this cycle. So you take something somebody says a certain way and you don't like it. So you get defensive. You say something defensive. Well, in turn, the other person gets defensive, and now you're convinced you're under attack. And so like it becomes this loop, what I call a self-fulfilling prophecy, that you say, hey, I thought you were mad at me, kind of thing. You convince yourself that you were mad at somebody. When you get defensive, it's like locking the door in your room and then being mad at somebody that they can't come in. Like, they should understand me. You still expect them to cater to your needs when you've totally blocked out all of theirs. And so it creates this wall that they should know. They should know how I feel. They should know that would upset me, but you care nothing about what's happening to the other person. Now, you can do certain things and techniques to prevent defensiveness from the other person. It's very hard to prevent defensiveness in yourself, aside from just dropping it, not taking things so personally.
Hard.
It's extremely hard, but most of the time, the yell that somebody's given you is truly just a bid for connection, because they're tight, they're tension, they're wanting you to hear. It's most of the time the yell is them wanting to feel like they are connected in some way. Now, it depends what they're yelling.
Right.
Yeah, that could be very different. But the whole idea of defensiveness is that it is probably the number one conversation killer. If I were to tell you, you say something to me and I can tell I'm getting defensive at that. Now, when you hear that, does that make you sound like I know what I'm doing? Like I'm in control of myself, or I'm not?
When you say I'm getting defensive about that.
Yeah, if I say I can tell I'm getting defensive about that.
That makes me feel like you're weak.
Yeah.
When you say that.
Yeah.
But also, because I want to be like, when you say that, like, I'm getting defensive about that. I feel like if that's the goal here.
Well, it's because you're a bully. That's why.
But I can come at you. But also, it is. I keep going back to fighting analogies, but that's you creating distance from us. I can't hit you.
Yeah, you got it.
I can't. I'll swing again, and that's you saying like, oh, I feel my body doing X, Y, and Z, and so I'm getting out of striking distance. And as a guy that's trying to fire you up, that annoys me.
That's a great metaphor. Right? Yeah. I once had a trial where we were probably halfway through, and this guy on the other side was such a fireball that he just gets so heated about everything. And halfway through in a break, he goes, "Man, I really don't like you." I said, "Oh, that's okay." You know. He goes, "No, I like you. I mean, you're great." He goes, "The thing is," he goes, "you don't give me an enemy." He goes, "I can't get mad at you." He's like, "I can't." He goes, "Usually I try and make an opponent." So I've become like, before trial, of course, personally we're fine. But when it comes to courtroom,
yeah, you put the gloves on and get
exactly.
After it.
It's I'm the opponent, and so he wants to feel justified in saying mean things, and this other side, and they're the enemy. But I never gave him that because I didn't deserve it. You know, I hadn't done anything rude. I was always continuing to be kind and just water off a duck's back kind of thing. And that's a main key. Is most people are just looking for an enemy. When it comes to conversation, they're wanting to find a way to be mad at you.
So I would say the next derivative then is actually, I don't know if they're looking for an enemy as much as they're looking to feel justified being in a soup of their own feelings. Yeah. And the way they can feel justified in feeling miserable is if it's your fault.
Perfect. You got it. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. They want to they feel a certain way, so they need to dump it on somebody. And you happen to be the living thing in the room.
All right, so that distills down. Can I tell you what the biggest thing I left with this book?
Yeah.
And disagree with me if you're like, that's not really what I meant. This may be one of the top 3 or 4 countercultural books I've ever read.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay,
Thanks,
here's what I mean about that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've read a book in the last 10 years, maybe Arthur Brooks, that I closed the book and thought, Jefferson sees more capability in me than I do.
Oh, that's awesome.
And if I step back and look at the cloud hanging over our culture, it is, I've got fill in the blank diagnostic. I've got fill in the blank childhood trauma. I got fill in the blank X, Y, or Z malady. And culture has convinced us over the last 25 years, you're irrevocably broken. Just go to the margin. We'll pat you on the head and we'll take care of it.
Right.
Because you can't.
Yeah.
And as I was going through this, I would say, like, don't win the argument. I'm like, all right, man, but like, that means I have to just sit here and be cool.
Right.
And I know me well enough to know that means I got to still go see a counselor. And that means I got to get with my wife once a week and plan the week out so that I give her some peace so that I can have some peace. That means that I got to exercise most of the time. Otherwise, I'm just kind of a ball of,
Yeah.
And I kept hearing this, oh, you can.
Yeah.
You can. Or don't get defensive, or get up and walk away, or just don't answer.
Yeah.
Nobody in culture is saying that. They're telling you how to fight back,
Right.
how to slip the punch and swing. And so a statement I've been making over and over recently is, and it's just me, kind of a refrain that I'm repeating to myself, is I'm not solving for net worth. I'm not solving for the greatest sex. I'm solving for peace.
Yeah.
In my house. And for me and my family, it means I'm not going to owe anybody any money. Right?
Right.
If you can't take my house from me, then I'm gonna be right. If you can't take my car from me, I'm at peace.
Yes.
I'm gonna solve for having a hard conversation with my wife way upstream, so it doesn't turn into a nightmare. But nobody's telling us we can do that, and that's this whole stinking book. Is you looking and be like, no, you can.
Yeah.
You can.
That's awesome. Man.
Do you sense the? All right. Let me ask you this. You work in the messy ugliness of people's lives on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
You wouldn't have a job if injustices didn't happen to other people.
Yes.
What gives you the belief in everybody? No, you can.
Yeah. Because I've seen it. And that's a wonderful takeaway. That it's a really just blessing to hear that from you, John. Really. I've seen it. My experience in the courtroom, depositions, cross-examination, just the everyday trenches of conflict. I have seen people that could not go into a room without crying, shaking uncontrollably. I have seen what I've been able to do once I spend time with them and teach them how to communicate. By the time that they're on the when they're on the stand in the courtroom, you would never have even known it. And it's like, I know it. I know that they can because I've seen the transition by just a few phrases of letting their breath be the first word.
That's a great story. I want to give it away, but that woman that's a great story.
Yeah. And it's just little bitty things like that where I've been able to see them transform into everything about them simply by what they say next. And by putting them in a position to where rather than trying to control other people, the magic happens when all they need to do is control themselves, and magical things happen. And it's a message that I don't believe that culture is really talking about. I never really thought about that until you just said that. I guess it is very counter-culture, very counterintuitive.
Well, you do a good job here of talking about, like, when your body goes to fight or flight, your body protects you from thinking through your next steps. It just wants you to react.
Exactly.
And so we have an entire culture that's electric with reaction.
Oh, they prefer it.
Yeah. And so if somebody like Jefferson says, no, I think you can. And I can lead with my breath, if I can exhale, if I can do the work to be confident when I sit down at a table, not have, gosh, dude, the most common thing I ask on my show is, does that make sense? Right? After I give this explanation, here's what you need to do next.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, are we still friends, right? Yeah. And like, just being able to say, hey, trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, maybe don't say anything. Right. That allows me to not live in a world of reactivity. And then maybe I can be the only thinking mind at my dinner table or with my family. And when that happens, you can smile.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
Granddad can say whatever and you can be like, all right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's been good to see you.
Exactly. Hey, we're going to stay one night.
Yeah.
This Thanksgiving, we're going to stay one night.
Yeah.
And we'll have fun. We'll talk politics and talk how Pfizer, we'll do that. And then you'll have a great one, man. You know what I mean? Then we laugh all the way home. Or, I'm just going to outsource to everybody.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is. So I guess.
But that's the challenge.
Yeah. So I guess thank you for believing in people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope people read this and they exhale and say, okay, when I can't see belief in myself, I got a toolkit now that my dad didn't have, that my granddad didn't have, that my mom didn't have, but there's a guy who believes in me.
And I was able only to get it because there are people who believe in me.
That's right. Yeah.
That's how it goes.